and liberating strife, who more than self their country loves, and mercy more than life. May God thy gold refine till all success be nobleness, and every gain refine. Skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. America, sweet America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Shining sea.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for your presence today at Celebrating Women Who Move the Nation Awards. As you know, our in-person event had to be canceled twice due to COVID. However, we could not let another year pass without giving these amazing ladies their flowers. And before we acknowledge our outstanding honorees, I'd like to express my appreciation to the selection committee. This committee is a diverse, robust group of professionals who are not daunted by the task of choosing 13 honorees from among so many strong candidates. I'm honored to work with them. They took a tough job and made it seem easy. They are Ms. Rhonda Briggins of Jacobs, Ms. Greer Gillis of Jacksonville Transportation Authority, Ms. Kimberly Slaughter of Sister USA, Mr. Emil Williams of Central Ohio Transit Authority, Ms. Jaleesa Coffey, and our very own Ms. Geturi Mathara from COMTO National. I would like to also acknowledge my predecessors as chair of this event. Each year I would come to celebrate the women who move the nation and leaving fulfilled, empowered, inspired. And that feeling would keep me focused throughout the year. I would like to thank my predecessors and mentors, Ms. Greer Gillis and Ms. Janet Walker Ford, for making this possible. Since 2012, COMTO has recognized outstanding women in transportation during Women's History Month. More than 75 women to date. We seek to acknowledge not just women with outstanding resumes, although our honorees certainly have outstanding resumes, but also women who believe in transportation is more than a job, women from whom transportation is a passion and a way of life. These women are committed to the principles of diversity and inclusion, to the advancement of minorities and women in our industry, to engage in historically underutilized businesses. These women inspire the future generation of transportation leaders. This event would not be possible without the support of our industry partners, and I want to acknowledge each of them now, not just for their financial support, but also for their ongoing commitment to COMTO and its mission, and the celebration of accomplished women. This year's industry partners are AECOM, HNTB, Jacobs, and WSP USA. I know you're eager to be introduced to our honorees, but before we honor them, I'd like to honor each of you for your presence here this morning. By joining us today, you're helping us advance the mission of COMTO, and I'm so most humbly thank you for your support. And now, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Frank Oglesby, better known as the voice of COMTO. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us as we honor some pretty incredible women. But now I'd like to introduce COMTO's National Board of Directors. Board Chair, Ms. Tanya Adams. First Vice Chair, Mr. Sherman Elliott. Second Vice Chair, Ms. Gwendolyn Gray. Secretary Treasurer, Ms. Micheline Hyatt. Immediate Past Chair, Mr. Freddie Fuller. At-Large Member, Ms. Regine Beauboeuf. At-Large Member, Mr. Ruben Landa. At-Large Member, Ms. Melissa Rolls Scott. Council of Presidents Representative, Mr. Quincy Howard. Council of Presidents Representative, Mr. Christopher Macklin. Council of Presidents Representative Alternate, Ms. Liddy Chan. Board Advisor, Mr. Christian Kent. Board Advisor, Ms. Renee Banks. Thank you all for your leadership of this great organization. And now, I'd like to introduce COMTO's Council of Presidents. COMTO moves across the nation because of our local chapter leadership. COMTO has 35 chapters in the US and Canada, and a few more that are in the works. So here we are to introduce our Council of Presidents in attendance. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you COMTO's 2021 Celebrating Women Who Move the Nation honorees who sat down with us and shared some insightful words of wisdom.
Mentorship is what has made my unlikely journey possible. There is no instruction manual on how to make it as a Black woman on Wall Street. Yes, I worked extremely hard, but I would not have been successful without mentors who saw something in me that I didn't see myself. Every opportunity I had for advancement was a result of mentorship. In fact, when we founded the firm in 1996, it was my mentors who said, "You must be president and CEO." I was lucky to have a support system that saw the potential in me and helped me reach it. But one shouldn't have to be lucky to achieve their potential. I want to help change that because I feel a deep responsibility to leave the door open behind me. Talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. We must equip young people with the knowledge they need to succeed in business. That's why my firm established and supports internal and many external summer internship programs. I know from my own experience that there are so many talented students out there who are overlooked because they don't have the typical Wall Street pedigree. I'm proud that many of the graduates from Siebert Williams Shank's internship program, many of whom are from underserved backgrounds, are rising in the ranks at our firm and across Wall Street.
My sincere gratitude to the COMTO National Board of Directors, CEO, COMTO members, and sponsors for this award. I'm deeply humbled to be among this amazing group of 2020 COMTO Women Who Move the Nation honorees. On this 50th anniversary, I'd also like to acknowledge Julie Cunningham, past president, CEO, who envisioned this program, highlighting the accomplishments of women in transportation. Julie was indeed a trailblazer. She could do anything. She was my mentor. I'm deeply thankful for the transformative mentorship that has shaped my career and my personal life. My mentors being family, community, and professional mentors like Julie and others. They encouraged, they inspired, and they brought out the very best in me. They are the quiet whisper that says, you can do anything. I'm honored to pay forward this gift to my mentees. My time, my experience, and the reward of self-discovery and service, and that little quiet whisper, they can do anything. Thank you.
My name is Julie Green, and I'm a Vice President with HNTB. Mentorship has played a vital role in my career, and I've been very fortunate to have many mentors from my 28 years in the transportation industry. I was formally assigned a short-term mentor when I first joined HNTB back in 1994 to help me navigate the firm and the industry and to understand how our firm provides professional engineering services. As my career evolved, I connected with a variety of unofficial mentors inside and outside the firm who provided me with guidance and advice through the many phases of my career. I now pay it forwards by acting as a mentor to young women and men in our industry to enable them to be the very best they can be. My closing advice is to build rapport with colleagues that are potential mentors. Be curious, ask questions, and listen carefully to the answers you receive. And always pay it forwards when you get the chance.
First, let me thank the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials Awards Committee and the Board of Directors for selecting me for this amazing honor of the COMTO Women Who Move the Nation. I am proud to be in a class with so many dynamic women. Mentorship has played a significant role in my career, starting with God, who has been my greatest mentor as I have excelled in his plan for my life. Being recognized for my career as an advocate for transportation and someone who has had the opportunity to change lives and have an impact on the aviation industry in a significant way is very special. My early mentors were my mother and uncle, twins who as college valedictorians showed me how important education was. My husband was truly a mentor from our college days and through all the professional and personal opportunities throughout my entire career. I am grateful to my children who served in a unique mentoring role during a rough time in our lives. My professional and personal mentors nurtured me through the milestones on this path, helping me to be a better engineer, a successful leader, and most important, striving to be a good person to fulfill my purpose in life, to help others, provide opportunities, and give back all that I have achieved by being a mentor to the next generation of transportation leaders. I owe my career success to all my mentors, so to them I say, thank you. Again, thank you, COMTO, for this amazing honor.
Thank you, COMTO, for this incredibly humbling honor to be named one of the 2020 Women Who Move the Nation. It's hard for me to pick just one person that has had the most impact on my career. There's a quote that I love: a truly great mentor is hard to find, difficult to part with, and impossible to forget. I have been fortunate to have several mentors that have been impossible to forget. Isaac Sharon of Louis Berger took a 24-year-old that had never traveled outside the country and threw me into transportation projects around the globe. That instilled a sense of confidence, an appreciation for other cultures, and a love for new adventures that has stuck with me throughout my career. Diana Mendez taught me how to always think outside the box and look for those solutions that are not always the most obvious ones. Karen Ray showed me what it looks like to lead with passion, conviction, and determination. Shannon Valentine, our Secretary of Transportation in Virginia, taught me how to lead with grace, compassion, and toughness. Always remember what you bring to the table, and we will always live to see another day. So thank you again, COMTO, to this recognition. As we all go through our transportation careers, let's all be impossible to forget.
The biggest influencers in my life were my parents, Vivian and Russell Prisby. They were amazing people. They were hardworking people, and they instilled all those values into me, making sure that I was always aware that I could do anything. And I so appreciated them and watching them in my life be hard workers and give back to the community and all of those things that they instilled in me. And I am so grateful for them. I miss them dearly. I hope I'm making them proud. And I can always remember my mom saying, to whom much is given, much is required. And I live by that. I live by that in the way that I try to give back to my community. Hence so many things that I've done in my career and that I hope to continue to do. Thank you so much for this honor. I am grateful.
My father, who was an engineer, was a great inspiration to me growing up. He started involving me in his work when I was very young and instilled in me a great sense of ethics and pride in work well done. When I first started my career at the DOT, I was in awe of Gary G. Taylor, PE, who is an African American and was the chief engineer at the time. He was at the highest level of leadership ever attained by an African American and had excellent technical, leadership, and people skills. He represented what I aspired to be one day in my career, someone one could look up to and emulate.
It's always wonderful when your mentors and your advisors look like you and they sound just like you, but sometimes a most trusted mentor can come in unexpected packaging. And I will forever be grateful for the kindness and the support that I have been given since 2003 by a then 70-year-old Japanese man named Normanetta. Very different from me, but a teacher, a leader, and a friend. Since my first day at the Department of Transportation in 2003, Secretary Mineta was encouraging me, supporting me, sometimes shielding me, and I have been so grateful to watch him lead and to learn from him. So be open to the idea that a mentor may not look or sound just like you. It's what's in their heart that matters, and Secretary Normanetta has a heart of pure gold. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Who was the most influential person in my career? I would just have to say it was my mother. My mom taught me so much about passion, commitment, and really listening to your soul for the good of people. She taught me the value of volunteerism. And in fact, my background really had started with volunteering from the time I was old enough to walk, going door to door with her, soliciting donations for Easter seals and collecting donations for political candidates. And I learned from her that that was the most important work that I could do to make a difference in my community. I then became a professional Girl Scout for 20 years and worked with high-risk girls, and they taught me the value of volunteering. And through volunteerism, I literally was able to touch and experience everything I ever dreamt of doing and more because of volunteering and because of the commitment to community my mother taught me and the spiritual aspects of it. She always used to say, listen to your heart, quiet your mind, and it will always guide you. And my second mother was my boss at the Girl Scouts, Margot, and she took it a step further and told me it was my responsibility to be a leader, and it was my responsibility to work hard, and it was my responsibility to change the lives of the people in my community. I've always done it. It's a part of my soul, and it is something that I am so grateful for.
So there are actually two people who had a significant influence on me and my career. The first is my father, David Miller, He's the person who planted the seed on me pursuing a career in law. And he wasn't a lawyer. It wasn't a legacy situation. He actually worked 30 years for the post office, and his last 9 years of working, he was a conductor for New York City Transit Authority, and that was before I started to work there. But he raised me. He was a single parent. I lost my mom at the age of 10 to breast cancer, and so he was a significant influence on me. The second person is Judith T. Pierce, and she became the Senior Vice President of Administration at New York City Transit. But when she had an impact on me was when we were co-workers, and she said, they call everybody here a manager, but you're not a manager until you've managed people. And that kind of gave me the courage to leave and go to another city agency where I had the opportunity to manage other attorneys and staff. And when she did ascend and became the Senior Vice President of Administration, and she was building her team, she drafted me to come back to transit, and the rest, as they say, is history.
I went to that supervisor and said, Dr. So-and-so, I would like to ask you a question, if I might. I'd like to know why, when you have a male and a female coming here with pretty much the same background, why are they assigned to such different careers? Such valuable experiences doing the research in the wind tunnels we had in that building. They were giving talks about the research that they were doing and what they were finding. They were writing papers and they were publishing papers. And with those published papers, they were also getting promoted. The women who were supporting the men and doing graphs and writing computer programs and things were not getting promoted. And when I finished my question, he looked at me and said, nobody has ever asked me a question like that before. And I said, well, I'm asking it now. Within 2 weeks, I got promoted and I was transferred to engineering. And that's when I really started writing computer programs, and in fact, got the program written and started working with some other people. That really launched my careers. That led to me working in reducing the loudness of a sonic boom. I worked in that for about 25 years. And I worked on reducing the loudness. And while I was doing that work, we were actually working with Boeing, McDonnell Douglas, several universities, other NASA centers. And then I found myself leading sessional national teams. And I think that taking the mathematics and letting it launch me into the engineering and everything, and working with engineering on a supersonic airplane was the most successful obstacle that I overtook.
Working in transportation, I feel like I have always been a woman in a man's world. And earlier on, it probably wasn't as easy. I had to kind of make my way into that world and establish my credibility. But as time has gone on, it has gotten a whole lot easier, to the point where I'm now the CEO of a male-dominated engineering society. And I'm also accompanied by my own chair, who is our first female chair, Robin Greenleaf, who's an engineer. And then I'm also associated with the chair of our federation, our council of member organizations. That's a one-year post, and she's also a woman. So we went from kind of trying to find our way to the table to the table finally being crowded with women. And frankly, I like it that way.
Whether it's maritime transportation, the railway, automobiles, aviation, or space travel, transportation has long been considered a man's field. But throughout history, we have seen women and people of color not only enter these fields, but become leaders within it. It was Katherine Johnson whose calculations put men on the moon. I'm sure you've seen Hidden Figures. Carmen Turner became general manager of the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority, officially becoming the first African-American woman to lead a transit agency. And today we can proudly say that women and people of color have shaped every facet of transportation, from legislation to science, engineering, maintenance, and consumption. The biggest step we have taken to make progress is to throw ourselves in the ring to compete with everyone else. And we've been able to show that not only can we hold our own, but we can compete with those who have been in these industries for decades. We've not always been welcomed in this field, but now we lead the way. And so I'm excited to join the ranks of these historic women through the administration of our historic Move EBR program here in my city and parish.
The honoree for advocacy is Linda Darr, President and CEO of American Council of Engineering Companies, or ACEC. Congratulations, Ms. Darr.
Advocacy really is the act of arguing for a cause. And advocacy supports, it defends, it pleads on behalf of others. And for years, COMTO has been a staunch and really celebrated advocate for employment diversity, inclusion, opportunity in the transportation industry. And that's an industry that I've dedicated my career to. As a matter of fact, my Twitter handle is Eldar Moves. Movement is essential to progress, and it's symbolic of the resilience we need to show every day when we rise to face challenges, find solutions, and to do our part to move our families, our colleagues, and our causes forward. So it's fitting that this particular award is for advocacy for women who move the nation. My career has spanned all modes of transportation, and now my role at ACEC is to help our members design the infrastructure that's the backbone of transportation. It's important work. And this week, if our lawmakers are bold and if we advocate successfully, our years of effort could be paying off. The bipartisan infrastructure bill could be a turning point in our work to provide a funding framework for a national infrastructure system to create the footing we need for transportation to build the future, whatever that future may bring. So I'm honored to receive this award today from my friends at COMTO and encourage all of today's honorees to take a moment to celebrate your individual success and to recommit your efforts towards progress. We need you and we appreciate your work. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for those remarks. Welcome to the podium this year's honoree for aviation, Shanetta Griffin, PE, Associate Administrator of Airports for the Federal Aviation Administration. Congratulations, Ms. Griffin.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doris. And thank you to the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials Selection Committee and the Board of Directors for choosing me for this amazing honor as a woman who moves the nation. The women I stand with today represent the strength and the transportation industry needs to move this nation forward, and I'm humbled to be recognized alongside of them. I thank God for his continued daily blessings. We never know the path that we will take in life, but we do know that we need to make the best of every day. Being recognized for following my dreams of engineering in the aviation industry by an organization that represents all that I admire gives me the confirmation that I'm doing the right things. Years of love and support from my husband, who watches me from heaven throughout my career, enabled me to have this dynamic FA position that I hold today and to be the first African-American woman to hold it. Thank you to my children, Tierra and Roderick, who keep me grounded in today's changing realities and show unconditional love that keeps me striving to do more, be better, and make them proud every day. Also, thank you to my family, friends, and mentors that have nurtured me on this path. As I entered my career as an African-American female engineer, I knew others coming behind me would be watching. So ensuring I fulfill what I considered my purpose to help future engineers provide meaningful opportunities to businesses in the industry and provide a positive impact in society was very important. This award gives me the motivation and courage to continue to be a diligent example of what we all can achieve. We all know COVID has changed our domestic and global landscape, and as we collectively rebuild, we need to realign to a resiliency and sustainability of our business models, along with social and structural infrastructure to provide growth and true public impact. Transportation serves as a key foundation toward this type of sustainable economic equity for our communities, and I am proud to be a woman who will strive to move this nation today and for future generations. Again, thank you, COMTO, for this amazing honor.
And we thank you. This year's honoree for federal government is Nicole Nason. Ms. Nason is a former administrator of the Federal Highway Administration and currently serves as Chief Safety Officer and Head of External Affairs at CAVNU. Congratulations, Ms. Nason.
Hello, everyone. Hello, COMTO. Thank you for this extraordinary award. I'm so appreciative and I'm so thankful to be in this incredible company. These are illustrious other winners, and I salute all of my fellow awardees. I really appreciate this award because it recognizes something I think is very special at the Federal Highway Administration, which is that we completely revamped the way we recruit and hire and train new employees and mid-year career changes in a moment where the world was shutting down and we were all going home with everything they had going on. The FHWA people team really focused their energies on also rebuilding the way we recruit across the country to make sure that FHWA has all of the best leaders from all of the most diverse backgrounds, because that's how we build transportation of the future. So with everything that was happening, with a global health crisis, they still managed to find time to redo our recruitment efforts at the Federal Highway Administration so that we are focusing on historically Black colleges and universities, women's schools, large public schools where maybe we hadn't recruited before, but we can find incredible future leaders who didn't have the money for private school, but they've got the energy and they've got the ideas, and that's what we need. So I really want to take this moment to thank all of you and to also thank the AAA at FHWA, Arlen Finfrock, and his colleague, Amy Lucero, and Laura Sepulveda, and David Lewis, and Stephen Graham, and everyone who was involved in creating the new program, developing the ambassadors program at FHWA, and helping to make sure that in the future we have leaders from all across the country with diverse backgrounds and different education levels, because we need them all. And the transportation system of the future needs to focus on everyone's needs, and is something that I hope is very long lasting at the Federal Highway Administration. So thank you all for the tremendous honor. Thank you and congratulations to the great work that you do. And I look forward to a day when we can meet in person again soon.
Thank you so much. Our honoree for local government is Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome of the city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Congratulations, Mayor Broome.
Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. I want to start off by thanking the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials for the honor of being recognized with this group of inspirational, dedicated, and talented women. There is no greater honor than sharing this recognition with all of you. We may not all represent the same sectors within the world of transportation. We all represent, however, the transformative work that is moving my community, your communities, and communities across the country forward. The work we are doing is laying the foundation of the future for our nation, no pun intended. Sufficient infrastructure is the key to ensuring our communities are prepared for anything that may come our way. We've seen this to be true on multiple occasions this year alone. And it is my hope and prayer that our federal partners will understand the value of moving that infrastructure bill forward. Because whether it's our roadways, our power grids, or even broadband, our residents depend on us to make these investments to ensure peace, prosperity, and progress for everyone. These investments are crucial from every level. Municipalities like mine depend on the support we receive from our federal, state, and private partners. We know we can't do it alone. Transformative change only happens when everyone has a seat at the table. Just a few years ago, my administration introduced Move EBR, the largest infrastructure improvement program in the history of Baton Rouge. This $1 billion program includes 70 projects, more than 70 projects, to improve capacity, accessibility, and safety for all of our residents. And I am so thankful for the East Baton Rouge Parish residents who voted to make this program a reality. This recognition extends beyond me. It goes to our residents, our city parish team who works day in and out to improve transportation in our city and parish, and every single person involved in pulling off this monumental program. Our collaboration is what moves the nation. Thank you once again to COMTO, and let us all remember, it is our care and concern for others that is the true measure of our greatness. Thank you and God bless.
And thank you and congratulations. Thank you for being with us. This year, we have 4 honorees from the private sector. Let's welcome our first private sector honoree, Regine C. Beauboeuf, PE, Senior Vice President, Director, Infrastructure and Mobility Equity, HNTB. Congratulations, Ms. Beauboeuf.
Yes, I have. Thank you. I apologize, but I don't know what happened.
May I introduce you again? I think
Yes.
it's only fitting. May I do that, please? Thank you. As I mentioned at the outset, we have 4 honorees, and I want to introduce you to our first private sector honoree, Regine C. Beauboeuf, PE, Senior Vice President, Director of Infrastructure and Mobility Equity, HNTB. Ms. Beauboeuf, félicitations.
Merci, Doris. Thank you. Good afternoon, COMTO family and guests. First, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to COMTO, its board of directors, the Women Who Move the Nation Committee, former President and CEO Brad Mims, former interim President and CEO Tara McDaniel, and interim President and CEO Dr. Gwendolyn Boyd for the honor awarded me today. I am deeply thankful. I would also like to extend my congratulations to my fellow honorees. I am humbled to be counted among you. I further extend my gratitude to my parents, my father for teaching me the leadership values of hard work, ethics, legacy, and purpose. To my mother for drilling into me that these values can be hurtful without compassion and empathy. To my children for teaching me resilience and fortitude to start a new life every morning, despite yesterday's challenges. And for the courage to speak up for a better tomorrow, for tomorrow will be their present. To my mentees who have taught me to walk my talk every day, living a life of integrity and curiosity. To my organization, HNTB, for the constant support over the past 3 years, for the vision to recognize that my voice, reflective of my race, ethnicity, and unique identity, added to our leadership ranks, can only make us a better and stronger organizations. And for our latest corporate commitment to further equity to transportation and mobility solutions, as a recognition that we must all be involved in the fight for equity, no matter what demographic we hail from. To the many who often, without realizing it, have taught me invaluable lessons, mentored and sponsored me over the years, and encouraged me to live my dreams, even though I wasn't always prepared to manifest them in another place. To the United States, my country of adoption, that I love beyond words, and that finds itself nowadays questioning the many contributions of Brown and Black immigrants. My story is one of many, and is a reminder that given opportunity, we are meaningful and unavoidable contributors to a more perfect union. To the many I have cited above, and to those who have crossed my path and marked my journey, this award is as much yours as it is mine. Thank you. So in closing, my parents have taught me that much is required of whom much is given. And in honor of my father, who has taught me the importance of legacy, I am pledging $5,000 to COMTO for 2 scholarships of $2,500 each to be awarded in 2022 and 2023 to first generations Black women majoring in engineering. I am also pledging a $5,000 contribution to the Terrace Elliott Paler Endowment Scholarship Fund at Howard University, seeded by the Wall Street Journal and Yahoo Sport in memory of Terrace, son of Eva and Charmin Elliott, first vice chair of COMTO. In his 37 years on this earth, Terrace has touched many, and through this fund, will continue to spread his generous and warm spirit. Charmin and Eva, you have done wonderfully well. Thank you.
Thank you for your generosity. Our next honoree from the private sector is Jan Prisby, Bryson, Chairwoman, Benchmark Management. Congratulations, Ms. Bryson.
Thanks so much, Doris. Good afternoon. First, I'd like to congratulate my fellow honorees. Wow, women who move a nation. Is that powerful or what? I am so honored to be before you today. When I think about our original plan to be together March 2020, it was during Women's History Month. And I can't help but think about women like Harriet Tubman, who not only helped move a people, but helped to change our nation. I'd like to give thanks to COMTO for this amazing honor. I'd like to thank their leadership, Tanya Adams. I love your passion. I'd also like to thank my Atlanta COMTO friends, Rhonda and Claudia. And again, I'd like to say thank you. There is so much work to be done, more now than ever. So let's get to it. I am so very grateful for this award. In closing, I'd like to thank the people that have poured into me for all of my days. I'd like to recognize my company, Benchmark Management, my family and friends, and my amazing husband, Dwayne Hurd. And lastly, please join me in a big virtual round of applause for COMTO and their leadership. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and congratulations, COMTO, on 50 years. Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Bryson, and congratulations for work well done. Our third honoree for the private sector is Julie Green. Ms. Green is the Vice President, New York Region at Hatch LTK. Ms. Green, congratulations. Before we hear from the remainder of our honorees, we'd like to invite Ivory Hayes back to the stage for another outstanding performance.
You're broken down and tired of feeling like you're on a merry-go-round and you can't find the fighter. But I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out and move mountains. We're gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, rise like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ants, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like you can hardly breathe, And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains. Take it to its feet and move mountains. And I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, high like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the aches. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. All we need is hope. And for that we have each other. For that we have each other. All we need, we will rise up. Oh yes, I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, I'll rise like the waves. I'll rise up, I'll rise from the waves. I'll do it all for you, for you, for you, for you.
Thank you very much for that outstanding rendition of Rise Up by Andra Day. And now, let's hear from the remainder of our remarkable honorees. Our third honoree for the private sector is Julie Green, Vice President, New York Region at Hatch LTK. Congratulations, Ms. Green.
Short remarks. I'm really honored, very honored that COMTO included me among the top women in the transportation industry. When I started my career 25 years ago or more, there were hardly any diversity in the industry leadership ranks. Now, thanks in large part to organizations such as COMTO, there are women and minorities in leadership positions throughout the country. I would like to thank my COMTO New York family, led by our president, Rich Watson, for the love and support and energy and enthusiasm in support of all the great things we're doing in the region. And thank you to Hatch LTK, my employer for over 25 years, for their active ongoing support of COMTO and for giving me the bandwidth, allowing me to make a difference in advocating for diversity and inclusion in all aspects of our industry. And finally, thank you to my husband, Hugh, and my sons, Zach and Travis, for being there and their love and support. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Our fourth and final honoree for the private sector is Suzanne Shank, President and CEO of Siebert Williams Shank and Company.
Thank you so much. I hope that you can all hear me.
Yes.
Thank you so much to COMTO, the board of directors, the selection committee for this phenomenal recognition. I am so honored to be among this dynamic group of honorees, many of whom are clients and friends, and all of whom I admire. My first career was as a civil engineer, and when I went off to get my MBA in finance, I decided to pursue a career in public finance so that I could now finance rather than design major infrastructure projects. That wasn't the most popular route that my colleagues at Wharton Business School were pursuing. Most were going off to corporate finance and M&A work. But I knew I didn't want to lose the value of my undergraduate engineering degree, and it has been a rewarding career. It's also been rewarding to have my firm, Siebert Williams Shank, finance over $375 billion in transportation projects over our 25-year history, including many critical transportation projects across the country as a top 10 underwriter of both airport financings and transportation financings in general over the last 10 years. It is especially gratifying to me, though, to receive this award as the daughter of a retired transportation professional. My dad, Roger Shank, hired by the Savannah Transit Authority on May 27, 1961, was the first Black bus driver in Georgia. Because of his hard work and determination, he advanced to be the first Black director of transportation for the then renamed Chatham Area Transit Authority in Savannah, Georgia. Over the years, he attended several COMTO conferences and spoke so highly of the colleagues he met from around the country. So in tribute to my father, I accept this wonderful honor, and I'm always inspired by Ms. Beauboeuf. I too pledge to give 2 scholarships to first generation engineers. Regine, you can give me the details on what I need to do, but it is absolutely the right thing to do, and I so appreciate your leadership. I look forward to the time when we can all convene together again. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Ms. Shank. Congratulations. Thank you, Ms. Shank. Our honoree for the public sector is Angie Rivera-Malpede, Chairman of the Board, Regional Transportation District, RTD. Congratulations, Ms. Rivera-Malpede.
I accept this award on her behalf. She is truly, truly honored and cannot be here today. And I want to thank all 13 women for all that you do. Thank you.
Our honoree for public transportation is Anita Miller, Chief Employee Relations and Administrative Officer, Metropolitan Transportation Authority, or MTA.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, COMTO family, and we truly are a family. I'm so honored to be here with you this afternoon. I want to first thank COMTO National and Tanya Adams and the selection committee for this beautiful acknowledgement. It goes without stating that to be among such accomplished and inspiring women is truly a privilege, and I'm deeply humbled by it. I've attended many COMTO conferences and the Women Who Moves the Nation breakfast, and you would always sit in the audience and say, wow, what must it feel like to be among those honorees? Never really thinking that that would be me one day. So thank you so much. I have to give a big shout out to COMTO New York chapter, which is led by incredible President Richard Watson and the COMTO board and all of my friends and colleagues in COMTO. It is truly a dedicated, hardworking and disciplined group of women and men. And had we been at our traditional breakfast, this is the point where I would have asked all of them to stand and to collectively be honored, because they have helped me down through the years and my trajectory here at the MTA, which started with New York City Transit Authority many moons ago now. I want to give a shout out to my colleague, COMTO New York honoree, Julie Green. And Julie, I hope that you're able to get on here to say whatever words that you wanted to share with this group. Julie works tremendously hard for COMTO New York. And I just am so privileged to be honored along with her from COMTO New York chapter. The past year and a half, the COVID pandemic has irreparably changed our respective communities, and that did not leave the transportation community, which was tremendously hit by this scourge. New York, we had many, many losses of our frontline employees and behind the scene employees. Each and every life and family was impacted, and our organization has been changed forever. And I know that while we all share a collective resilience, and that's been talked about by some of the other commenters this evening, this afternoon, the fact that the work that we'll have to do to rebuild and restart in so many ways also includes the transportation industry. We have people who are retiring, but that's also an opportunity to bring in new people to champion what is COMTO's overarching mission, which is to level the playing field for women and minorities in the transportation industry and beyond. I am confident that the honorees today and past honorees such as Miriam Fernandez and Polly Trottenberg and Tracy Besselou and a host of other amazing women are carrying on that mission in their respective agencies. And I can only say, thank you, thank you, thank you. I look forward to breaking bread with you in months and years to come. Be well and stay safe.
As a tribute to Ms. DeLibero, the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials instituted the Shirley A. DeLibero Woman Who Moves the Nation Award. Many of you know her simply as the Queen of Transit. The 2021 Shirley A. DeLibero Woman Who Moves the Nation Award is given to Helen McSwain, Senior Vice President and National Transit Director at Road Fox Construction Control Services Corporation. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. On behalf of Helen McSwain, who couldn't be here today, she lost her sister the other day. Her sister her name was Rolinda Martin. She's actually at her funeral today. And I'm asking everyone to give a moment of silence on her behalf. She was a woman who would always come to COMTO conferences with Helen. She would always be at Women Who Move the Nation breakfast. And she was truly honored that her sister was going to be awarded. And she was hoping to be with us back last March. So on that, for a moment of silence and recognition of her sister and for the amazing things that Helen has done in the area of infrastructure and transportation.
Our state government honoree is Jennifer Mitchell, Director, Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation.
Thank you so much to Compton for this recognition as a woman who moves the nation. It is truly humbling to be included in this group of amazing awardees. I would first like to thank the selection committee, the COMTO board of directors who selected us for these awards. I am very deeply moved to have been selected. It's an even greater honor to be placed in such distinguished ranks as some of those past honorees, most of whom have been colleagues at one time or another, all of whom have made important contributions to the transportation industry, and many of whom I consider to be close friends. COMTO is truly a remarkable organization. For 50 years, COMTO has played such an important role in promoting diversity and inclusion in the transportation industry. In 2018, I was very pleased to be a member of the APTA Awards Committee that inducted the two founders of COMTO, Reverend Jerry Moore and Harold Williams, into the APTA Hall of Fame. And last year, our agency was very pleased to be one of the first agencies to become a corporate member of the new COMTO Central Virginia chapter. It's especially gratifying to be named as a COMTO State Government Award winner. Since 2014 in Virginia, we've worked hard to become a leader in transit and passenger rail. We've been working to bring more transparency and performance-based decision-making to select the best projects to address our mobility needs and to take the politics out of project selection. We've been very focused on bringing greater multimodalism to our transportation network. We've had a greater commitment to funding transit and rail, including a 58% increase in funding for transit and an over 50% increase in funding for passenger rail. We have great commitment from our governor, our General Assembly, for rapid expansion of passenger rail in the Commonwealth, which has resulted in our Transforming Rail in Virginia program, which is a $4 billion program to expand passenger rail across the entire Commonwealth. I'd like to thank a few people that have been very critical to the success of our system in the Commonwealth. Virginia Transportation Secretary Shannon Valentine, and before that, Secretary Aubrey Lane, both of whom put me on their transportation leadership teams. Our Deputy Secretaries, Nick Donahue and John Lawson, my friend and colleague, Steve Britch, the Commissioner of the Virginia Department of Transportation, and my entire team in the Commonwealth of Virginia, including my great team at the Department of Rail and Public Transportation and the newly created Virginia Passenger Rail Authority. They're all amazing professionals and leaders. So I'm proud to be part of the Commonwealth's transformation of our transportation network, and we look forward to another amazing 8 years in the future. In closing, thank you again to COMTO. Congratulations again to all of my fellow award winners.
Congratulations, Ms. Mitchell. I now present to you our Lifetime Achievement Award honoree, Dr. Christine Darden, former NASA aerospace engineer and hidden figure. Dr. Darden will also deliver the keynote address. Dr. Darden, congratulations.
Good morning. This is Christine Darden, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the journey of my career. And a question I will address would be the obstacle that I overcame most successfully as I was journeying toward my career. When I was a child, about 5 years old, all my older sisters and brothers had already left home to attend college. And I was at home alone with my mom and my dad. I loved helping my dad change tires on his car, and I loved fixing my bicycle brakes with a coat hanger and a pair of pliers because my paper delivering brother had broken the brakes on my bicycle before he left home. I attended a segregated school, 1st through 12th grade, that was across the street from my home in Monroe, North Carolina. I took reading and arithmetic with used books from our schools, from the white schools in town, but no advanced math or science classes were taught in the school that I attended. I did not have any advanced math or science classes taught before 9th grade. And I did okay in the classes I took, but when I got to the 10th grade, I actually took algebra and did fine in the algebra class. After that algebra class, my mom and dad sent me to a boarding school for 11th grade. And the only math that I could take at that boarding school was that I qualified for was plain geometry. And when I got into plain geometry, I really loved it. The teacher explained how to tell how tall a pole was by using a geometry equation. And that really grabbed me. I said, this is really showing how math is used in the real world. And I really loved that. And I found out I really wanted to be a mathematician. And after I graduated from high school, I came off to Virginia to Hampton Institute to become a mathematician. I realized after I got there that the students who were coming to my class from the northeastern cities and everything had much more advanced math than I had. And I started to kind of think about things, but my dad called and he said, Christine, I think you ought to think about getting a degree in teacher education. And I thought about that and I said, you know, I knew I loved the mathematics and I was interested in that. And I said, okay, I'm going to do what my dad says. And I knew when I was in geometry, I thought about loving geometry so much, but how would I get to a career in as a mathematician? So I thought about perceiving myself as a mathematician, seeing myself, and I actually taught the class one day in high school. How do I know what I have to do to get to be a mathematician? And I said, okay, I have to take certain classes. I probably have to have certain experiences, and I will do that. And then how do I prepare? Well, I've got a plan now. I know what classes and things I need to take. So now I'm going to do those things to prepare myself to be a mathematician. And the final P that I thought about was persist. When I run into problems, I'm not going to quit the first time I run into a problem. I'm going to solve that problem, and then I will keep going. And so I've kind of thought of my formula as 4P to being a mathematician. And that's kind of what I called it: perceive, plan, prepare, persist. And okay, as soon as I got my teachers, I graduated with, as soon as I got my certificate, well, no, I was going to teach, and my 4P plan taught me, okay, you're going to be taking teacher education classes for 4 years. Why don't you think about this? And when you get in your senior year, all you've got to do now is do your student teaching in math, do your student teaching in physics. And what you want to do is take some higher level math classes that you don't need to be a high school math teacher, but that you do need to be a mathematician. And so in addition to my student teaching my senior year, I signed up for 8 higher level math classes, 4 in the first semester, 4 in the second semester. And so I graduated with my teacher's certificate, and I graduated with these 24 hours of higher level math that I did need to be a mathematician. So I went off to the new school where I was going to teach, and another teacher came by almost immediately and said, well, several of us are going up to Virginia State University on Saturday to sign up for some free in-service classes that they give. Would you like to join us? And I said, absolutely, I would like to join you. And so I went with them that Saturday morning. I signed up for a math class and took the whole year of math classes with them on Saturday morning. Everything went well. And then a couple of years later, I was a little bit further away from Virginia State. I was 80 miles away. And I decided I didn't have anybody riding with me, and it was going to be on Friday nights this time. And I said, oh gosh, I don't want to ride by myself at night. So I recruited 3 other teachers that would ride up to Virginia State and sign up for some classes and be willing to come home with me on Friday night, because we would have to work all day Friday. We would have to get out of class about 4:30 or so and drive 80 miles up to Virginia State, go get settled in class, stay in class 2 or 3 hours, and then get out of that class about 10:30 or 11 o'clock and drive 80 miles back home. And so we all signed up for class, and it went well. But I continued for the first semester, and I thought it was going very, very well, except when the first semester ended, those 3 teachers that were riding with me at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, all of them came up to me and says, we are sorry, but we're going to have to quit for the second semester. We're not going to be able to keep going, taking another class. I was really, really disappointed when they did that, but I had to say, I'm not going to quit. So I continued alone. And one of the things that I did do is when I was out there at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, I often put my head out the window so I would not get sleepy or fall asleep that time of night out on the highway by myself. So I did that for several weeks. And after several weeks, we found out that my husband was going to get a fellowship to Virginia State to get a master's degree in biology. And I started thinking about that. I said, gosh, that probably means we'll move to Petersburg, and I'll probably need a job in Petersburg. I hadn't thought about that. And so the next week, when I was going by myself to class, as soon as I got to class in Petersburg, I went up to the professor and said, do you think you know of any job around here that I might check into to see if I could get a position? I think we're going to move to Petersburg and I will need a job. And he says, oh, you're looking for a job? I said, yes. He said, well, let me take you across the hall and introduce you to the head of the physics department. So we went over to the head of the physics department. He wanted a research assistant in aerosol physics. And what he particularly wanted was for his assistant to actually calculate the light scattering of non-spherical particles in the atmosphere. I said, yeah, that sounds great. I would love to do that. And so then they told me what they would pay me to do this research assistant job. But they added to this, they said, well, in addition to paying you to do the research, to do the light scattering research, we will pay you enough so that you can get a master's degree. And I said, oh my gosh, well, I would love to get a master's degree in applied mathematics. And they said that they would cover that. And so I accepted that. And for the next 2 years, I was doing the light scattering project, and I was working on all the classes that I would have to take to get a master's degree in applied mathematics. So just at graduation, I went by the placement office on campus and asked the young lady if she knew any jobs I might check into. She said, where in the world have you been? I said, what do you mean? She says, didn't you know NASA was here yesterday recruiting students? I said, no, I didn't know that. She says, here, you take this application, you fill it in and get it back to me tomorrow. I am going to mail your application into NASA. She did that, and about 2.5 weeks later, I got an offer from NASA. NASA was then running the Apollo program, and I accepted that position to do that. And so when I got to NASA in June, it was toward the end of the year, I found that I had been hired as a human computer. They put me into a computer pool where they had been putting a lot of women to help the men write reports and everything and send their reports to the aeronautics community all over the United States. And so they did that. And I went to the room, and I found out what had just happened in this country was that the military airplanes had just started flying supersonically back in 1947. And after 1947, the people had, after 1947, researchers all over America had started trying to figure out was there a way they could reduce the noise of a sonic boom that accompanied supersonic flight. Boeing was supposed to build an airplane at the NASA Langley Center, and Boeing says, we want to fly across a big city first before we commit to building a supersonic airplane. And so they borrowed 7 airplanes from the Air Force, flew over Oklahoma City, and generated all sorts of complaints from the people in Oklahoma City, but generated cost of over $1 million that the government paid these people back such that they could fix their homes and everything. And so I was hired by NASA. I started doing research based on some reports that professors in other universities had written. And I actually wrote a computer program based on some of the ideas that they had about finishing that work. I actually did that work and actually started designing airplanes and everything like that. I got promoted. I actually transferred to engineering because I saw that the men I was working first they were giving talks, they were writing papers, they were getting promoted, but the women weren't. And so I asked one of the young ladies, I said, well, why are all the men doing engineering work and they're doing research and the women aren't doing that? I guess it's because they all have engineering degrees. And she says, well, no, not all the men have engineering degrees. There are actually several men in the engineering offices that have math degrees. And so that's when I decided, well, I'm going to ask, can I transfer to engineering? So I asked my immediate supervisor, could I transfer to engineering? He said, no, that's possible. So I sat there another couple of weeks and I said, well, I'm going to a higher level supervisor, the director of the high-speed aerodynamics division. And so I went to that supervisor and said, Dr. So-and-so, I would like to ask you a question, if I might. I'd like to know why when you have a male and a female coming here with pretty much the same background, why are they assigned to such different careers? Such valuable experiences doing the research in the wind tunnels we had in that building. They were giving talks about the research that they were doing and what they were finding. They were writing papers and they were publishing papers. And with those published papers, they were also getting promoted. The women who were supporting the men and doing graphs and writing computer programs and things were not getting promoted. And when I finished my question, he looked at me and said, nobody has ever asked me a question like that before. And I said, well, I'm asking it now. And I left and went back to my office. And he said, and within 2 weeks, I got promoted and I was transferred to engineering. And that's when I really started writing computer programs and in fact, got the program written and started working with some other people. And so I got all of that done and I was really getting into what I was doing. And that really launched my careers. That led to me working in reducing the loudness of a sonic boom. I worked in that for about 25 years. And I worked on reducing the loudness. And while I was doing that work, we were actually working with Boeing, McDonnell Douglas, several universities, other NASA centers. And then I found myself leading sessional national teams. And I think that taking the mathematics and letting it launch me into the engineering and everything, and working with engineering on a supersonic airplane was the most successful obstacle that I overtook.
Thank you, ladies, for continuing to shatter the glass ceiling. Thank you to everyone, and congratulations once again to all of our outstanding honorees. And this is the time when I have to say, before we end our program, that if you have not been a member of COMTO and you'd like to be, this would be the time that we ask you to join COMTO. We're a strong organization, and everyone's share is much needed. So please, by all means, call, write, email, but please join COMTO. We look forward to you being a part of the COMTO family. And now I'd like to turn the program back over to National Board Chair Tanya Adams.
I believe we should give a round of applause to Frank Oglesby, the voice of COMTO, Doris McMillan, our MC and moderator, the Celebrating Women Who Move the Nation Steering Committee, our national staff, and our sponsors. Without their hard work and dedication, this event would not have happened. Again, this event would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. Our industry partners are AECOM, HNTB, Jacobs, and WSP USA. We are grateful for your support. I have to mention HNTB and WSP for all their technical assistance they gave us for this presentation. We'll see you next year for our 9th Celebrating Women Who Move the Nation Awards in Washington, D.C. Thank you and have a great day.